Okay.
Okay. So here we are at the end of
Here we are. So close. Yet so far. Still a couple of things to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Found you. Okay, so let me begin by telling you what I was doing and how I think I did in doing that thing. We were doing a new module. Typically, so far, we were reviewing. This time it was completely new for them. I spent some time teaching it through the videos that I played for them. So I plan to do 2 videos from the AP Classroom, which is the most relevant source for us. It's straight from College Board, which provides these exams. There was some practice questions there that we did in class, and I was looking for understanding there and was ready to clarify things if needed and so on. I also had other formative assessments. I had the vocabulary test at the beginning, which is for a previous module, and the exit ticket that was for this specific module. The main activities that I planned were the online interactive game, let's call it that, with 20 questions, and the experiment, which we did in the second period. I chose to do this experiment to kind of show them that this stuff is measurable, it can be observed in the real world. If you're running some kind of a production process or you have a company, this is actually the stuff that you need to know if you are being, how productive you are, what your profit is going to be, and all those things. Mm-hmm. So it's very real world kind of stuff. And I wanted them to memorize the relationships between these concepts and curves. That's the most important thing. That's going to be on the exam. And I frequently pointed out, this is how it's going to look on the exam. This is what you need. This is what you don't need. So in the planning phase, I identified that experiment. I found it online. This is the first time I did it. I think it went really well. We couldn't finish analyzing the data, but that's assigned to them for homework, so we'll see how they're doing that. I'm also happy that Inger was there because she also teaches economics, and I already talked to her to get some feedback. As you know, we recently had parent-teacher meetings, so I talked to some of the parents as well, some of the top students, some of the students where I have concerns. I also talked to the homeroom teachers, so I'm quite busy collaborating with all these other stakeholders to elevate the students to a higher level. So that's my general impression. I think overall it went well, planning went well, delivery went well, pretty happy with it. So I'm happy, I would be glad to hear anything that you noticed.
Okay, so before we get into that, you've highlighted, and there were many successes in that lesson. I was very impressed with planning and the inclusion of technology, all of the things that you mentioned. Before we get into that, though, what, on reflection, would be your to improve? What would be on your list to improve?
I would still want to improve on some of the behaviors that I noticed. I'm generally focused on the activity that we're doing, and there are students who are using that as an opportunity to use their phones, to talk to others. I am struggling to understand what is it with these students that is preventing them from focusing. It's the same students every time, and it's the same type of behavior. I don't want to escalate it, but I need a solution for this, because it's a recurring issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I noticed when I reviewed the video, a couple things. Well, first of all, the successes, there were many successes. I think that was a proficient / outstanding lesson in many of these 10 factors here. I was impressed with the activity. I think it was an impactful one. I think you obviously put a lot of thought into making it relevant to them, to show them a way to access that information that's going to stay with them, which is of course essential. There were, in terms of what you just said here, like you wanted to consolidate their knowledge of the graphs, there were just a couple of places where you supplied the answer yourself. Like you gave them 5 minutes to do that activity. They didn't quite get the full 5 minutes before you went to do you went over the first answer, and you had the 2 graphs and you were asking, like, is it this one or this one? I think that because that was a particular goal, you could have scaffolded that answer. You did intervene. Let me just see it. I had it lined up. I'm going to do this now here.
Yeah, I can't really remember. What is the phenomenon we're looking for here? This is specialization. Yeah. And this? Diminishing. No. Marginal. So there, for example, when you just said they gave you the wrong answer, that was kind of an opportunity to probe why they got that wrong answer, where you jumped in with like you supplied the answer. Yeah. So if you kind of paused and probed a little bit, then that could have consolidated that learning a little bit more. Yeah. And that's a teaching habit that a lot of many teachers have, is just to jump in. I noticed it in a couple places, and after that activity, you supplied, someone said diminishing, and you said, no, the answer is negative. Again, in that part, you could have probed that just a little bit more to consolidate. Yeah. For the distractions, honestly, I would have just had the students clear all of their devices, put it under the desk, show me jazz hands that their hands are empty, because there was a lot of distraction there. And the students, if they don't have that intrinsic motivation, they're always going to go back to their screens regardless. So even just that very small management thing of getting it out of their hands, out of their reach. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe next time I task those specific students with a task. Like this time, Melody was collecting the data in Excel. Maybe it could be one of the troublemakers who does that.
Yeah.
Then they'll be busy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of standards to go through. I don't know if we need to specifically address them individually.
There's one standard that I think that most of them are very clear, but there is one that I wanted you to comment on. Now, because it's not necessarily something that I would see in my lesson. It's standard 7. Planning for instruction 2. 2. Okay, so for this one, the last sentence in outstanding says, the candidate adjusts and revises lesson plans to meet student needs and respond to changing circumstances in the classroom. So obviously you've really planned a thorough lesson. Can you give me an example of a time when you just said, okay, this isn't going to work and I'm going to do this instead? Like, are you able to, do you flexibly do it on the run?
I can do it on the run. I on the top of my head, I can't think of an instance when I did that, but I definitely do do that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. it's my ultimate goal with these students to make sure that they fully and completely understand this material. That's my goal. Some of them actually want to drop the course because they've already done the exam, which, just because you did the exam, I don't think it's really a mark of mastery of this content. So,
Right.
yeah. Lesson plans. Yeah, I do it on the fly in the classroom. Today, this lesson that I did, I saw that we are running out of time because the videos were kind of slow, talking about some irrelevant things. So I kind of skipped forward. I skipped to the next video. So I saved us some time there, and I think overall we did well with the time management class. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is just the one that I hadn't really, it's kind of hard to observe that. The rest of them, I think it's very straightforward, actually. And the other stakeholders, just simply because we had the parent meeting the other day, I know that you are very engaged with the classroom teachers and the parents to move the students
The English
along.
teachers too.
And the English teachers.
Yeah, I talked to Hui, I think. Hui and Jared are in charge of these guys. Yeah. They also don't have all the tools necessary to help them. But I think we need to attack from two fronts and help them. Yeah.
All right. So are you pleased with all the 10 standards?
I am. In general, I am. I definitely see improvement in this lesson compared to a couple of months ago, the first video, the baseline video that I did. It's a very useful exercise to use this comprehensive lesson plan and cover all the bases. It helped me create a new routine. I was not happy with my previous routine, so this has helped me, especially with the formative assessments. My planning has improved. My communication with the students, communication with the parents and other teachers. Overall, I see improvements in many, many areas. So
That's
I'm
good.
quite pleased.
Okay. And the leadership collaboration. So obviously, we've talked about the stakeholders, but how is that going, your leadership?
So we had an assignment about leadership, and I had that initial plan to organize a book fair here, which for reasons outside of my hands, it couldn't be pulled off. So I switched to another thing which was easily achievable in the short period of time that I had, which was to organize the sharing session about tools and technologies that we as teachers use to help us be more productive in classroom and outside of the classroom. So I think that also went well.
Right.
Yeah, so I volunteered to do that. I asked them, and the school was generous to provide me a time to do it. I shared the final compilation with all the teachers. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I could do in this limited amount of time.
Yeah.